Rivers in New Hampshire were flooded by several feet of water following the record storm that hit New England on December 18. A record-breaking coastal storm that brought flooding and damaging winds from Florida to Maine slammed into Atlantic Canada on Tuesday. But its effects continued to wreak havoc on many parts of the Northeast. More than 400,000 customers were still without power late Tuesday after wind gusts of 50 to 90 miles per hour toppled trees and wires. Although most of the precipitation has ended in the Northeast, excess water from Monday's rain snowmelt continued to overflow streams and streams flow into rivers. On Tuesday, water levels were rising and flood warnings were in effect. At least 5 people the storm, including one person each Pennsylvania, South Carolina and New York who were caught floodwaters while their vehicles were caught floodwaters. According to the Associated Press, a man in Maine was also killed by a falling tree due to strong winds. Another tree fell on a travel trailer in Plymouth County, Mass., crushing an 89-year-old man. The AP also reported that Maine police were searching for 2 people whose cars were missing, and that 17 people trapped in floodwaters in Conway, NH, had to be rescued. The unusually intense December storm brought at least 4 inches of rain and wind gusts of at least 50 miles per hour in every eastern state from Florida to Maine. Additionally, strong winds deposited water on the coastline, flooding low-lying roads. A storm surge of 2 to 4 feet was measured from the west coast of Florida to southern New England. Locally, the surge reached 8 feet at Springmaid Pier in Myrtle Beach, SC on backside of storm. Cold air crept southeastward, producing snow, some heavy, from Great Lakes to central Appalachians. About 12 inches of snow fell in West Virginia's Canaan Valley. Snow falling from the Great Lakes caused a massive traffic backlog on Interstate 94 west of Kalamazoo, Michigan. On Monday, where the waters still rise, floodwaters across much of the Northeast were expected to peak Tuesday evening. More than 50 rivers were at least in some danger of flooding. For example, the Pawtuxet River in Cranston, Rhode Island, was still rising and beating forecasts. Major flood stage begins at 13 feet, and the river was around 15 feet Tuesday afternoon. Such water levels would likely require evacuations in Warwick and Cranston, according to the National Weather Service. A similar story was playing out along the Kennebec River in Hallowell, just outside Augusta, Maine. Major flood stage begins at 18 feet, and the river had reached about 22 feet by Tuesday afternoon. It was expected to rise above 23 feet by evening, flooding businesses in Hallowell and Gardiner, flooding some parking areas, and making the aptly named Water Street impassable. Major flooding also continued on the Androscoggin and Sandy rivers in Maine and the Winooski River in Vermont. The latter peaked at 21.46, about 3.5 feet above major flood stage, but street